Scanning for audio.
Now, before anyone kicks off and says anything, this is not a Doctor Who related podcast. Well, the Tin Dog podcast obviously is, but what you're about to hear isn't. It's a quick review of something that I just wanted to share with you. I didn't think you'd mind, mainly because it's from Big Finish, which I know lots of you listen to. I mean, let's face it, I do Survivors, and there's another one of those along at any moment. But no, not Survivors. It's something slightly more Doctor Who related, if you see it from a certain point of view. It's Mark Gatiss's adaptation of Dracula. It's 3 discs long, longer than any movie version, and it sticks closer to the original novel than most people have ever managed in almost any format at all. Yes, the Coppola version of Dracula had some redeeming features, and God, my self from 20 years ago is currently stabbing me from a distance through time. I loathed that version. It was about as scary as watching chocolate melt. It had the atmosphere of a pantomime, and everyone in it was trying so hard. But let's face it, Keanu Reeves' English accent, well, least said, soonest mended. We're not here to bury other versions of Dracula, we're here to celebrate this one. Now, Mark's Doctor Who credentials go back to the Air Zone solution, and longer, way back to Nightshade, 2005's highlight of the whole season, and so on. Yes, he was in the Lazarus Experiment, and yes, the things that were wrong with Victory of the Daleks were not his fault. Time has demonstrated that. With a few tweaks, that story, Victory of the Daleks, would have been marvellous. But that's not why we're here either. Yes, we all adore his work on the League of Gentlemen. Yes, we think that Sherlock's great. All of those things are brilliant. But basically, Mark is a bloke from the northeast who knows his horror, and who can honestly say that doesn't apply to. Sadly, I know that really applies to me. His love of 1970s horror movies and the classic Hammer means that if I'd known and grown up with him, he would have been one of my mates. We would have traded fantastic collections of VHS and had long, rambling conversations about just how great Christopher Lee is and that he really should be in more films. This is the man who's been in more films than anyone else on Earth. But yes, there are moments, God help me if I say the word memes, that have appeared in almost every version of Dracula. We all think we know the story, but none of us really do know the story. I mean, how many of us can put our hands up and read, yes, I know you are. You've got your hand up in the air now. I can see it from here. Seriously, there's a lot of us just can't put our hands up and say we've read it. It is a very thick book. And there's not a lot of people out there who have read every version of it. I, somewhere, have a copy of the original Bram Stoker script, because Victorian copyright law had something to do with stage performances, so they had to copyright the existence of Dracula by having a stage version done. Now, I've got that script somewhere, but that isn't what they've used here. Oh no, they've gone back to the original source, the book. That postmodern of books. That most modern and postmodern of books. Why do I say postmodern? Because it is not only self-referential, it is told in fragments, which is very difficult when it comes to adapting. Most people just go straight for one long narrative. But the narrative comes together in the book slowly. From a reader's point of view, you're going, oh, this is important and this is important. They've all been put together. And yes, the unimportant moments have been discarded. But the genius move of Mark is that he's told the story. The narrator is Mina. She's gone from damsel in distress to actual narrator and collator of all of the documents. It's a brilliant move.
This is K9. You are listening to Tin Dog Podcast. Please do not switch off.
By far, the whole thing has been written by Mark Gatiss so that it could star Mark Gatiss as Dracula. And rightly so. If you've got that much power and that much clout and that much love for the original story, why not do it yourself? If you've spent your whole life going, I would have done it differently, then do it differently. And that's what he's done. It's very, very easy to camp up Dracula, to be all, children of the night, what music they make. Who is that knocking at the door? You quickly become a character from Sesame Street. No, that's not what this is about at all. Here we've got an actual old Carpathian man and his plans to enshrine himself at the centre of practically the internet, the centre of empire, the heart of the world, so that he can spread out his web of influence. Yes, we all know about the 50 coffins and all that business, and the gypsies and the Romanians help him. And yes, the original Dracula was half travelogue, and that is reflected here in the text. But you got each individual segment, which is, say, Jonathan Harker's journal. We skip to Jonathan Harker, and they all have such a feeling of verisimilitude, of reality that touches you, that makes you go, yes, this has been written by somebody who really genuinely cares about the work and has produced a marvellous adaptation. Possibly the best thing Mark's done, and Mark's done some pretty good stuff. So if you forgive me for going off Doctor Who topic and hanging around with a different narrative, I'm sure you'll let me off. I'm going to play the trailer, let you decide for yourself. And I'll come back next time, and yes, you can forgive me. I'll be talking about Doctor Who. Unless, of course, it's nearly the summer. Because then, it's nearly time for the second summer of Blake 7, where we can deal with Season 2. Oh yeah. So until next time, be seeing you.
Coming soon from Big Finish Productions. Dracula.
One thing alone we lack. Our souls indeed have fiercer hunger than the bodies need. Oh, happy they that look in loving eyes. The harsh world round them fades. The master's voice in sweetest music bids their souls rejoice, and wakes an echo there that never dies.
Big Finish. We love stories.
That was the Doctor Who Tin Dog Podcast, available on iTunes, YouTube, Twitter, RSS, Vimeo, and across the internet. Doctor Who and its associated properties are all copyright and trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. Why not become a supporter by visiting patreon.com/tindog. Contact the show on tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.